The first time I heard a Hans Zimmer score was in this small movie about a king and his son who would one day inherit all his dad's land. But one day the father is murdered and the son must flee to avoid the same fate. Later in the movie, there is this one scene where the son meets the ghost of his father who reminds him of where he comes from and how his origins defines his strength.
Father?
Simba, you have forgotten me.
No. How could I?
You have forgotten who you are, and so forgotten me. Look inside yourself, Simba. You are more than what you have become. You must take your place in the circle of life.
How can I go back? I'm not who I used to be.
Remember who you are. You are my son, and the one true king.
No! Please! Don't leave me! Father! Don't leave me.
This small movie turned out to be a huge movie. It was The Lion King. And even though I was 5, this scene made me realize that not many movie soundtracks could translate this well the story, the relationship, and the emotions during the scene. Today I will speak about a genius mastermind, one of the best movie composers, if not the best of our generation, Hans Zimmer. Hans Zimmer is a 62-year-old American-German film music composer who has composed more than 150 soundtracks since the late 1980s. He has since received 4 Grammy Awards, 2 Golden Globes, and an Academy Award, and was in the Daily Telegraph list of the top 100 living geniuses. Wow, you must be asking me, but what makes Hans Zimmer such a genius? Some praise Hans Zimmer for the large amount of work he has done most of his career, but if you know his name, it is because of the amount of attention and care he puts in the music. Some composers would try to translate the basic emotions of fear, excitement, love, or joy, which makes most of their music forgettable. Hans Zimmer is an architect who understands the relationship between the story, the music, and our emotions, and builds wonderful scores using his tools at full strength. In this video essay, I will show how story and world building are fundamental in Hans Zimmer's music, and then showcase a key signature in his work, time. For every example I will invite you to listen very carefully to the music playing in the background and to ask yourself what emotions you are feeling at the same time. The first thing I love with Hans Zimmer's work is his unusual yet brilliant method of writing a movie score. He prioritizes on good sound design over the classical orchestration, making soundtracks no longer a background noise but an essential element for world building and storytelling. World building, as its name suggests, is a part of the book or movie that doesn't relate directly to the main story, but the world the story takes place in. To be highly effective, the spectator or the reader must feel the atmosphere, the ambience of the world. Movies have the advantage over books for having sound and music, and Hans Zimmer knows this too well. World building always starts in the beginning of movies. Indeed, the first seconds are important to dive us in this new world, letting us know what to expect for the next hours. And because there is rarely any dialogue in the first seconds, the music must marry itself with the visuals. You can even notice that the music often starts over the movie logos. Watch, or perhaps listen carefully to the following scene and tell me, what do you feel? In his second Batman movie, director Christopher Nolan wants to introduce us to a world that has changed from the first one. A world we recognize as a real world. But something is different. Something is happening, and we know this thanks to the music. What we hear is this, a string being played higher and higher. Two dissonant notes playing together higher and higher as if it's about to explode, but we don't know when. The music calls to your basic instincts of fear. The sound represents this world's new identity, insanity. You know something bad is about to happen. You don't know how or where, you just feel it. And then it happens. This next scene is another brilliant example of world building. For instead of calling to your primal instincts, it calls to your cultural knowledge and understanding of music. The composer knows that the viewer can identify instruments or music to its culture in an instant. Can you identify this culture by only listening to it? And here is a scene from the movie it comes from.
Legend tells of a legendary warrior whose kung fu skills were the stuff of legend. He traveled the land in search of worthy foes.
Using cultural identification in music is nothing new in Western movies, but Hans Zimmer uses it at its full strength here by not only using traditional Chinese instruments to back up his orchestra, but by using Chinese folk music at the base of his composition. Thanks to this, his music ends up breathing the color and emotions of what we, viewers, know and recognize as the traditional Chinese culture. The soundtrack mixes the excitement and softness of the world of Kung Fu we are about to enter, by reminding us what era this fictional world corresponds to. Here is an honorable mention. Can you tell me the time period and area this movie will take place? Can you recognize some types of instruments or music? In what mood and emotions are you feeling? Horror, comedy, adventure? The previous soundtracks and scenes I showed did not only present the world we are invited in, but also the main character, their feelings, their aspirations, and their goals. Like in big movies, you will always recognize the theme for a specific character. Hans Zimmer of course does the same, but pushes even forward by using their theme that we have learned and changes it, adapts it to follow the changes of our character throughout the story. The music literally tells the story, and if you listen carefully, it can even tell you what might happen next. I will show you two clips from an underrated movie called Interstellar. Before being a movie about space travel or about saving the human species, at its heart, it is a movie about a father and his daughter. For the first clip, I will lower the dialogue between Cooper and Murph just for you to focus on the music.
Ah, Murph.
have no idea when you're coming back. No idea. Oh!
Don't make me leave like this. Come on, Murph. Don't make me leave like this, Murph. Hey, I love you forever. You hear me? I love you forever, and I'm coming back. I'm coming back.
Later in the movie, we find Cooper about to detach from the spaceship to enter a wormhole, and we hear this.
Ready?
Ready?
Ready.
Main engine ignition in 3, 2, 1. Mark. Lander 1 engines on my mark. 3, 2, 1. Mark. Ranger 2 engines on my mark. 3, 2, 1. Mark.
Well, this little maneuver is gonna cost us 51 years.
You don't sound so bad for pushing 120.
Recognize it? It's Murph's theme, but played with more strength. But why is it played at this moment here? We do not see Murph. The soundtrack tells you the story. It foreshadows what is to come. It tells you that Cooper will meet his daughter again somehow after entering the black hole. I love the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, starring Johnny Depp, Keira Knightley, Orlando Bloom, and so much more. Even the highly underrated second and third entries of the series, which I will be talking about. Of course, one of the best elements of the movies is the soundtrack. Instead of being a generic background action music, the music supports each character and the stories they go through. When the dead man's chest starts, we are first introduced to a new player, the East Indian Company, a new enemy to our protagonists. The music playing at the same time not only plays their theme, but lets the viewer know that they represent something powerful and dark lurking into our characters' lives. Later in the movie, we are introduced to our second antagonist, Davy Jones and his crew of the Flying Dutchman. Listen to their theme when we meet them. Later in the movie, when William Turner tries to retrieve a key from Davy Jones, we hear this small music from his music locket. Do you recognize it? If not, here's the music we hear in the next movie when we are about to meet with Davy Jones again. Hans Zimmer was able to make a full orchestra music from the small melody of Jones' Locket, which will define his theme and character. In the second movie, we are also introduced to Tia Dalma, who will turn out to be the goddess Calypso, former lover of Davy Jones. The last theme is about our protagonist, all the pirates trying to survive from the rising enemies. This theme is a musical version of the song Hoist the Colors, heard at the beginning of the third movie.
They've started to sing, so... Finally.
The different themes I've played will always be heard with their respective characters on screen. The music even tells us that Davy Jones was in love with Calypso before the movie reveals it. But the most interesting use of all these themes is at the final epic battle at the end of the third movie. We have all the remaining pirates facing the Flying Dutchman at the head of the armada of the East Indian Company, our protagonist against our antagonist. To make things even worse, our protagonists, our heroes, liberate Calypso, who decides to choose no sides. So, with all the players set for battle, ready to clash one with another, their themes also collide, representing how each character relates to each other. The East Indian Company starts the battle. Followed by the intervention of Calypso. Pushing the Flying Dutchman to battle. We will collide with our heroes. Hans Zimmer loves representing time in his music, for story and world-building purposes alike. It has pacing value, giving rhythm to a scene. Instead of the traditional clock showing that our characters are running out of time, Zimmer implements it in the soundtrack, making the viewers unconsciously nervous. He lets them know something is about to happen. Once Zimmer has caught the viewer off guard, he will control how fast or slow a scene should be, indirectly controlling how intense the obstacles feel. The beat of the music becomes the heartbeat of the movie. In Dunkirk, director Christopher Nolan didn't only tell a story of war, but also a story about perceiving time. Indeed, the movie is about 3 parallel narratives taking place over 3 different timelines: 1 week, 1 day, and 1 hour. In this dogfight scene, watch and listen on how time becomes the most important role without you even noticing.
Anchor, 11 o'clock. She's lining up to drop her load on that minesweeper.
Fighters?
Yep, 109's up her starboard.
I'm on the bomber.
You are on the edge of your seat because you know our heroes must win, and win fast. In our last example, we are going to speak about Christopher Nolan's movie Inception, that most of you know by now by heart. In this movie, every time we enter a dream, time slows down for our characters. This can be perceived by the watches our protagonists have or the slow motion effect. Hans Zimmer goes one step further and uses this concept as a backbone for his most famous sound that will become a great game changer in cinema and movie trailers. But what has this to do with time? Do you remember the song our characters must play to alert our heroes that the dream is going to end soon, that the dream is collapsing? They use this song from Edith Piaf. Remember, at every level of a dream, time slows down. So does the sound and music you might hear from above. Now listen to the song slowing down. And listen to what our heroes hear at the deepest level of Inception.
What are you doing?
Thank you for your time. If you enjoyed this, please leave a like and subscribe. What is your favorite Hans Zimmer score? Who's your favorite movie composer? Write down in the comments and let me know. And let me know if you would like to see more videos like this. Thank you and see you again.